Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, you might not want to hear about this, seeing as we're in the middle of a 2x void event right now, and most of us, myself included, are going to be walking away from this weekend with 0 void shards left in our inventory. But is it possible, especially considering that we are supposed to be having like a month celebrating Plarium's 3rd anniversary, and after a void 2x event as well, is it possible that now could be the time when Plarium finally does a guaranteed event for a void legendary, right? Pull 100 void shards, 150, maybe even 200 void shards, and get yourself a guaranteed void legendary, a specific one. Would they do it? And more importantly, what champion would they choose if so? We're going to discuss that in today's video. This is very much inspired by Styx on the Sin Cluster Discord, so my clan cluster. I was chatting to him on this, and I was really interested by what he had to say, that he's actually holding on to 100 Void Shards now at all times, because he believes that the guaranteed summon event rumors for a Void Legendary are true, right? So he's never going below 100 Void Shards. I'm not sure if he spends. I assume he probably would, so that, you know, hey, if there was a really good Void Legendary for 150, that he could always buy enough in that short span to make it up to the 150 if needed. I don't know though. That's putting words into his mouth, to be fair. But his guess for what the Void Legendary might be if they did it was to Hanorrak, which I think is really interesting. So we have to have very specific criteria here, right? You can't have a really weak Void Legendary, because then none of the whales, right, are gonna actually go for it. Because only really whales are gonna be able to save up 150 Void Shards if we aim for that. I'm saying 150 because it's 150 ancients typically. I think you could have some weaker legendaries for 100 void shards, but I know for me, I obviously bought a few void shards this weekend for the first time ever for a video, which is going to come out tomorrow, I think. I haven't pulled them all yet, but I know as end game free to play, I know from the last 2 6x void events that about 40 void shards is about what I would get. So to save up 150 requires just under 4 of these 2x void events. That's like over 20 weeks. You know, it's about half a year. Almost half a year is what we're talking about to save up enough void shards for guaranteed void legendary. That's a long time to wait without pulling any, but I don't think that's entirely unreasonable. But yeah, he was saying to Hanorrak might be the one, useful for everyone, only in PvE content though, so people don't complain when they release even harder Hydra difficulties, and it doesn't affect Arena at the same time. And interestingly, she was also in the anniversary video Plarium released. So let's go through this, and let's actually write up a short list of the legendaries that could be in it. Let's try to get through it pretty quick. In Bannerlords, Raglan and Baron, I think they are both too weak. I don't think either is exciting enough for people who have been saving voids to pull for them. In High Elves, Arbiter, I don't think they do a second Arbiter. Bellinor, I think, is too weak. He's obviously, I'd say he's very good if you get him early game for building a clan boss team. But once your clan boss team is done, you don't really need the guy, so he's not very useful then. Ethos, again, I think is too weak. He's useful for farming campaign, but really not essential. I know he's getting buffed on his A2 during the week, but I wouldn't see whales actually pulling for him. I just don't see it. In the Sacred Order, I think Sir Nicholas and Constantine are both too weak. Venus and Cardinal, I think, are possible. Venus and Cardinal, I think, are possible. I'm going to say Venus and Cardinal. I think they're both on the list. Venus is very good for Hydra, AoE decrease defense and weaken. She's got some AoE HP burns, poisons on her A1. Useful skill set, very good for Hydra, and I think that makes her a pretty good runner here. She's not like totally overpowered in other content though, so she's very good but not insane. So I'd see her going for maybe 100, 120 void shards. I definitely think people would pull for a Venus for 120 void shards. Cardial, I think, is better than that. Cardial is kind of nuts, right? He's got his AoE cleanse, block debuffs, revive on death that can't be cleansed. He's got his ally attack with all this stuff, tons of healing, and yeah, Cardial's a monster pretty much everywhere. You can use him a normal clan boss, which probably not that relevant for guaranteed void legendary stuff. Hydra, he's good. He's amazing for arena. So I think Cardial is very strong. I think Cardial will be 150 plus. I think Venus would be like 120 shards plus. Those are my thoughts on those two. We come into the Barbarians. Turvold, I think, is too specific and niche. A single target nuke. He's fun, but not essential. Ursaga, I don't think so. Like arena only, but not really that exciting. Yakarl's in the clan shop, so I think no. To Hanorrak, I do think is quite likely here, actually. I think 2 Hanorak is a front runner. This is Styx's choice as well. So she has decrease attack and block buffs, and then debuff spread. So AoE block buffs and decrease attack. She brings you increased defense, increased speed. She does decreased speed on her A1, which also puts out a bunch of continuous heals. And then she does a Doom Priest passive where she cleanses debuffs, 2 debuffs if someone's under continuous heals, accuracy in all battles, amazing base stats. 2 Hanorak is insanely good, and she's in particular insanely good for Hydra. And like Styx said, she's not that good for PvP. She's not that good in Arena. So for a whale coming into it, and you're looking forward and you're going, okay, we know that higher difficulties of Hydra are coming and they're going to be insanely hard. 2 Hanorak is going to be just insane for helping your teams progress in that. Like, she's so good. Do I want a 2 Hanorak? And I think yes. I would actually say 2 Hanorak for me would probably be 150 plus. I actually think 2 Hanorak's probably 150 plus if they were to do this. I think it's very likely because, again, she's not going to really affect Arena too much. It's mostly Hydra, and obviously if they ever brought out like a Nightmare Doom Tower, should be good there as well. So yeah, I think this is a pretty high possibility that people that have saved up their Void Shards, if they don't have 2 Hanorak, would definitely, I think, pull for her to prepare for that content that is coming up. So there you go. In Ogren Tribes, Gurgo, I actually think Gurgo is a possibility. AoE buff removal with a chance to freeze, gives himself extra turn. He does some extra hits if targets are frozen. He can freeze when he's hit. I'm going to say Gurgo is actually possible. I'm going to say Gurgo is possible at 100 plus. I think he's much weaker than the other ones. And the only reason I'm saying they might do a guaranteed pull for Gurgo is since Yakarl is now in the clan shop, right? So Gurgo doing a buff strip with AoE freeze and doing extra stuff if they're frozen. Yakarl doing more damage against frozen targets and freezing them himself. I think it's possible that they would do it just for that, just to entice people to go, hey, you're going to get Yakarl for free. How about a Gurgo to combo with him and see how that works? So I think that's possible, but I don't think he's that good, so I'm saying 100. In Lizardman, I actually think Krisk is too good. I almost said Cardiel was too good to be in this. Krisk, I think, is definitely too good. Romantu's obviously a Void guy. Chagur, I think, is too weak, and it's way too much as well of a bait for just empowering Romantu. It's like, pull all your Void Shards to empower Romantu +1. I don't think they would do that. So Shigor, I'm going to say no. So none of those. In the Skinwalkers, I think Coronar is not strong enough. Now, Tumecia and Leorius, this is definitely spicy. These are the ones I struggle on the most. Tumecia is incredible. Absolutely fantastic for Hydra, absolutely fantastic in Doom Tower, fantastic in Spider Dungeon, really, really good. In fact, I'm even maybe going so far as to say that she's too good in too many areas of the game, and they might not do a guaranteed pull for her. Yeah, I'm actually thinking that. Like, I'm thinking she might be too good, but maybe not exciting enough, right? You know, the people that hate furries are going to be like, no, we're not pulling for her. No way, man. But I think she might be too good. So, Tumecia, I actually don't think they might do it. I don't know. Leorius, I think maybe they would. I'm going to say Leorius for 150 plus as well. I think that's quite possible. Leorius is probably the best nuker for Arena. Rotos is probably the best single target nuker for AoE nuking. Leorius is your go-to, I would say. He obviously makes himself immune to all debuffs when the skill's not on cooldown, which is nuts. He gives himself unkillable. He does more damage when his HP is low. He's got 2 AoE smacks. Yeah, he's like Ethos, but better. He is just so good for Arena. So Leorius, I think, is quite possible that they would do it if they want to go that direction. In the Orcs, Warlord is too good. He's the best PvP champion, the best Arena champion in the game, so no way. And Angar is definitely too weak. In Demon Spawn, we've got Krutraxa and Anithwi. Anithwi is getting buffed on this. So, you know, he's AoE nuke that can block revive. But I think he's too weak. Unless they crazy buff him, I just don't see it. I don't see it. So I don't think they do either of those. The only thing that makes me hesitate is if they crazy buff his. We know he's getting buffed. We don't know by how much. If it's a crazy buff, then maybe. But I'm going to say for now that both of those are too weak. In the Undead Hordes, I think Sifi and Nekret are just way too good. And I think that Little Miss Annie and Vlad are not good enough. So I don't think any of those would make it in. In the Dark Elves, likewise, Lydia and Mithral are guaranteed legendaries. Vizix is a login legendary, so none of those. And then I think Blind Seer is just too weak. And just like Chigur, I think it's way too much of a bait to just, pull your Void Shards to empower Mithrala +1, which is kind of a bummer. So I definitely don't see them doing that. We come to Night Revenant then. I think Hegemon is too good. He's too good for Arena as well. So I don't think they would do that. Whirlim, I think he was a Battle Pass champion and really not exciting enough. Solus, I think, is an option. I think Solus would be an option. I'd say maybe 120 plus for Solus. And that might be undervaluing him. Like, he's the best defensive nuker in the game. Defense-based nuker, hits like a truck. Big AoE hit, smacks. He can also do some buff stripping and stuff. I think it actually doesn't just remove a buff, it removes all buffs. So it's kind of weird. But Solus is very, very good. Maybe I'm undervaluing him at 120, but I think that he is a possibility. For the dwarves, I do think Tormin is possible as well. I'm going to say Tormin. I'd say 100 plus, maybe 120 plus for Tormin. I'm going to say 100 plus for Tormin. Pretty much the same reasoning as Gergo here. For the arena, very, very nice for the arena with his passive. Combos well with your Carl. Again, the reason I'm not rating him higher than that is simply because, again, for the players that are going to be going for this, these are like the really late game players that can have this many Void Shards, the big whales. I don't think that Tormin is that insane when you get that far in the game, that there's a lot of counters to him. So I don't think he's that insane, but he's a champion that people might pull for. And then when we come to the Shadowkin, the last faction, I think Yumiko is too new and too strong. Jingwan is terrible, one of the worst legendaries in the game. Jinro is obviously from Doom Tower. Riho, I think, is a very high possibility. I think Riho is a very high possibility. I'd say maybe 120 plus for Riho, which is giving her at a bargain. But I think it's very possible, right? She's got an amazing cleanse that puts block debuffs and heals. She's got this really cool debuff in her A1. Continuous heals on her A2 does all these debuffs. A1 continuous heals. Her passive reflects debuffs, attack and faction crypts, and she looks incredible. So I think she's quite possible. I think she's very possible. And this is the list then. These are the list of the champions. I think for me, the most likely champions for them to do for a guaranteed Void Legendary event, I would actually say my top three. I think Tuhanarak, number one. For me, I think Tuhanarak is number one. I'm failing to do this here. Here we go. Okay, let's do it like this. Tuhanarak is number one. I think for the straightforward reason that she's that good for Hydra. She's absolutely top tier for Hydra. If the whales don't have her, they would want to get her because we know that more Hydra difficulties are coming. I actually put Riho as number two. Riho is probably not, she's not like god tier. She's not best in slot for anywhere in the game, but she's really good for Arena. She's going to be really good for Hydra, really good for Doom Tower. She's really good in a lot of places, like really, really good. And she looks absolutely cool. So for me, she's a very strong second place. I think that's quite likely. I think both of these as well. Maybe Tuhanarak, maybe I'm overvaluing that at 150. I don't think so though. And then for number three, I think probably Venus would be my other go-to. I think Venus could be the other one that they would do. I'm just feeling like these other ones might be a bit too strong or a bit unexciting. So they would be my top three. I think Tuhanarak, Riho, or Venus would be my three choices if they were to do a guaranteed Void Legendary. I think it would be one of those. I'm pretty much in price order of that. Let's actually knock Riho up to like 140 plus, maybe something like that. I think Tuhanarak would be the most expensive, Riho would be less than that, and Venus would be the cheapest one if they were to do them as a guaranteed legendary. I think they're all attractive for their own reasons, and none of them break Arena. None of them it's like, hey, you just bought yourself a Hegemon, and Arena is going to be flooded with Hegemons more than it is, nothing like that. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Guys, what do you think? Number one, would you be interested in a Void Legendary guaranteed event? I mean, could you even participate in a guaranteed Void Legendary event? And if they did it, who do you think is most likely? Do you agree with my reasoning here in today's video? But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. We will see if this happens. Obviously, this is pure speculation, but I think that there's a medium possibility. And I think if they're going to do it, I think they would do it in the near future. I think that's in the next month or so after the 2X as part of their 3rd anniversary. I think this is when they might trial this, and it might be like a once a year type deal. That's my thoughts, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.